the way the Genji Ashe matchup works, even though I think he was probably going for your sim here, but as a cool informational thing. All right, so this is a VOD review of the Gold Ashe. Gold Ashe on Hollywood. Uh, 2100. All right. Let's kind of. Well, before I start, obviously, let me just talk about compositions real quick, because I think it's always important to have at least a brief conversation around what comps both teams are running. So, the Tectonic here, his team is going to be running a Zarya Ball as tanks, which isn't actually a bad tank line. It's just a little bit weird, and it's played a little bit odd. It's a bit of an odd tank line to run, especially right now. The DPS are himself as Ashe and Sim. Both powerful DPS, but again, it's a bit odd, a little off meta, but that's okay. And then the heals are Moira and Brig. Both of these are short range heals. Okay. So essentially what this means is your comp is going to be a hybrid, because it's definitely not dive, and it's not really brawl, and it's not really poke. And when I say, find a different color here. All right, perfect. When I say it's going to be a hybrid, what I kind of mean is you have Ball, who's definitely dive, and then you have, your heals, which are definitely brawl, and then Zarya, which actually can kind of flex. She can be in a lot of different comps. And then you have kind of Sim and Ashe, who are both a combination of brawl poke, probably more poke oriented than brawl. So it's a little bit of a weird comp, but this is kind of what makes things fun. So what probably will be the game plan, especially for this comp, is you let Hammond go in, you give him a second, you let him make some space, and then Sim, Brig, Moira, Zarya. Let me actually clear when I'm talking about this. So you let the Hammond go in. Make this a little bit bigger. Nope. You let Hammond go in. Let him pile drive. Let him run. Swing through the enemies a couple times, and then Sim, Brig, Moira, Zarya will kind of be brawl, and they'll go in and play a very brawl style after the Hammond has slammed, after he's kind of moved people around and moved out of position. And your Ashe, so you as Ashe are going to be doing kind of a lot of poke. So you're going to be trying to hit big dynamites, get a lot of poke, especially have real combos with Wrecking Ball Slam, because that's really good. Those people are really easy to hit when they're in the air, very predictable pattern. A lot of big dynamites, that kind of stuff. And that, I think, is more or less going to be your guys' game plan. So let's talk really quickly about what the other team are running. Tank-wise, the other team are running Reinhardt Hog, which is a bit of an odd combo, but not too bad. That's probably more poke oriented than not, even though Reinhardt's definitely a good brawler. Heal wise, they're running Moira, Anna. So this is actually a really good combo for them, because this is both a long range heals and a lot of utility with the nade, and close range heals with the Moira, who also has the ability to kind of help if they wanted to play brawl in a brawly style. DPS wise, they're running Torb, Very, very poke-oriented, and Genji, pretty dive-oriented. So for them, their win conditions are probably going to be Nano Blade. Let me find a different color. Their win conditions are going to be Nano Blade. You know, because Nano Blade is really, really good. So when they build it up, you guys don't really have anything to stop that. So that's definitely going to be something to be very wary of, because that's going to be really rough. Maybe you grab the Genji, but again, really rough. They're probably going to be playing a lot of poke. Torbjorn is definitely highly poke oriented. Even Roadhog is very highly poke oriented. So definitely something to watch out for. So when I say something to watch out for, what I mean is Torb's turret is going to be a huge problem for Ball, because Ball essentially has no heals when he's back doing his thing in the backline. So you really have to focus Torb's turret. As the only person with any sort of range on your team, you really are the one that has to shoot Torb's turret down almost immediately. Otherwise, Ball has no space to do anything. But the Roadhog is probably going to do a lot of poke. He'll probably stick with the Reinhardt. Maybe he'll flank. You don't know what kind of Roadhog he is. And yeah, their win condition is just going to be stay alive for a long time. Your win condition is going to be let the Hammond go in, mess around, and then engage. And during that time when the Hammond is going in and messing around, you have to do a lot of poke as the Ashe, because you have to help the Hammond, enable him to get kills. And then you guys are essentially going to play Brawl, I think. I think that would be the play. And just kind of engage on an enemy that's in a weird spot because of pile drive or because they were knocked around, and kill them. But yeah, like I said, both teams are definitely running hybrids of different comps, so you never know which way it's going to go. And people may have certain strengths, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, and we'll kind of play it by ear. Yeah, it's always weird when people run hybrid comps. They can be really, really good. Oh, wow. I think this is Spanish. It's really, really cool. Actually, it's always weird when people run hybrid comps because they're harder to explain. Like, at some point, I'll have to do a full video on, like, metas and hybrids of different comps and, like, counters to counters to counters. But that'll be, again, that'll take me a while to make and to do, so probably a little bit farther in the future, because I don't have quite that much time right now. But yeah, it'll be weird. It'll be kind of spontaneous. So as Ashe, if I didn't make this clear, your main jobs is going to be to do a ton of poke. Your dynamite's going to be huge. Help the Hammond out. Look to combo with the Hammond. Look to combo shots. Look to combo dynamite. And shoot the turret. Turret's really, really big, because you can't have the turret shooting your ball. Also, as the only person Genji can actually dive, unless Sim does some crazy flanks, you're probably going to get dove a lot. Okay, I missed your shot on the dynamite there. I don't think there was a reason to reload here. So Ashe has 12 shots in her gun. Now, I'll kind of talk about this because this is a weird niche thing. So Ashe has 12 shots in her gun, and unlike McCree, like, her full reload takes a lot longer to actually reload all 12 shots. So usually what Ashe players do is they have thresholds, usually per player. Usually it's like, obviously 12 is max, then it's like 8, and then it's like 4. It depends on the Ashe player. They have thresholds for how many shots they like to shoot before they reload, but usually they'll shoot most of their shots. So you'll shoot down to 2 shots, down to 1 shot, down to 3 shots, because it takes Ashe so long to reload. You want to get maximum value out of your shots. So yep, keep shooting. Your aiming style is a little weird. I'm gonna have to think about that. I don't know, it just looks odd. Oh, get a dynamite in. You missed your shot on your dynamite again, which is okay, because I can talk about some tips if you have trouble hitting dynamite, on like how to hit dynamites and whatnot. Okay, so you got flanked by the hog, which is what it is. That's fine. That's not really what I think is worth talking about. What is worth talking about is kind of the Genji here. So essentially, the way the Genji Ashe matchup works, even though I think he was probably going for your sim here, but as a cool informational thing, the way the Genji, oh, let me get my marker, Ashe, kind of duel works out, if you will. So Genji has two main abilities. He has dash and reflect or deflect. That was it. You guys didn't see that. I really need to get like a pad. It's incredibly hard to do this with my mouse. Okay. These are the two abilities that Genji has. And Ashe essentially has, we're going to call it just Coach, but it's her Coach gun. And her Dynamite. Oh. Yeah, I really do need to get a drawing pad at some point. So, essentially, what you're doing is, for Ashe, if you're going to play against the Genji, his dash cooldown gets paired with your Coach gun cooldown, in the sense that Ashe is a long-range hero. If Ashe fights Genji at long range, she pretty much wins just by default because she's safe. So if Genji uses dash, you use Coach gun. Obviously, dash is towards you. You use Coach gun. And the reason for that is because when Genji is really close, he has a lot of different combos that he can pull off to more or less one-shot you. And you want to avoid as many of those combos as possible and give yourself more distance to shoot him. So you're using Coach gun. So when Genji uses dash, you use Coach gun. When Genji uses deflect, you use Dynamite. And the reason for that is, and let me grab a drink really quickly. Sorry about that, my throat's a little dry. And the reason for that is essentially because you can't shoot Genji during reflect, but you can throw Dynamite over his head, at his feet. You have to be careful at his feet because that might be at your feet too. But over his head, at his feet, or you can even wait for the deflect to kind of wear off and then throw Dynamite and shoot it, because there's not much. He can't do anything against Dynamite at that point, and Dynamite does a tremendous amount of damage. So that's essentially how that matchup works. If when the Genji uses dash, you use Coach gun. When the Genji uses reflect, you use Dynamite. So yeah, you essentially get flanked by the Hog here and whatever. But I kind of talked about that because he used dash and you didn't use Coach gun as a response, which should more or less be your response. You know, blow him off the high ground in your particular case, and then wait for him to keep shooting at him, wait for him to use reflect, and then throw Dynamite, or wait for the reflect to end and then throw Dynamite if you don't think you can throw it like too far off to the side that he won't reflect it. So having some trouble hitting the Roadhog. Again, miss the... I think... Okay. I do want to talk about some Dynamite hitting tactics, essentially. Because you've missed, I think, 3... practice range. Yeah, because you've... Let's see, Ashe. Dynamite cooldown. Spawn with ult. Okay. Yeah, because Dynamite is a huge part of Ashe's kit. And the reason for that is Bob wins games and Dynamite gets Bob. So you seem to have some trouble hitting your Dynamites. And as you probably know, if you throw Dynamite and you don't move your crosshair, you can just shoot and you'll hit Dynamite. Like, it'll be right there. So, you know, even for a while, because it'll start to arc down. Like, if you watch, it starts to arc down. So at some point that's not true, but if it's close range, you can just go. That's easy. Like, that's kind of an easy cheating tactic, for lack of a better term. The other thing is, you do want to be careful. Ideally, you don't want to be careful. Ideally, when you throw Dynamite, you use an unscoped shot to actually hit the Dynamite, as opposed to a scope. Oh. As opposed to a scope shot. And the reason for that is because Ashe's fastest combo to kill is, you know, single shot and then scope in headshot, because it's like a quick scope headshot, so you go. But it works the same way if you, like, it's a little bit slower, but the same concept applies if you shoot dynamite. So dynamite, quick scope headshot. Or even quick scope body shot will kill someone, but that gives the healers time to kind of heal them up. If you see how much longer it took that bot to die. But essentially what you can do is you can kind of turn the settings I turned on where you have infinite dynamites, and you can kind of start throwing them out and like test shooting them, because you should know the arc of dynamite like the back of your hand. It's incredibly important to be able to hit dynamites as Ashe on a regular basis, both like unscoped and scoped. But what you can do is you can kind of have it like a little bit of a shooting range, for lack of a better term, where you can throw out a couple, and you can try and hit a couple, and you can kind of do the same thing unscoped. Oh, I missed that second one. You guys didn't see anything. But yeah, you can essentially do, and you can, you know, kind of test your luck, see how many you can throw out. Oh, because like when they get really far, they're actually pretty hard to hit. But the concept applies of, even if you just go like this, and you just kind of, you know, move around. Oh, well, I can't shoot that one. Wow, they keep getting really weird angles. But yeah, dynamite is incredibly, incredibly important to be able to like hit, so like reliably as Ashe. So that's definitely something you're gonna want to practice, because you need to be able to hit dynamites incredibly consistently and incredibly reliably, because that's what's gonna get you all charged. That's what's gonna get you Bob. That's what's gonna win games. So. Again, you missed another dynamite, which is okay. So for that dynamite, like specifically, dynamite actually has a fairly long or like large radius for which it burns. So you can throw it reasonably far over the Reinhardt shield. Like this, it's barely over. The video's not good enough quality for me to perfectly determine if it just barely goes over or how far over it is, but it's literally just barely over the Reinhardt shield. So you can definitely throw that a little bit higher and give yourself a little bit bigger of a window to shoot it. The radius for which it explodes is pretty big. Yep, shoot the turret. Oh. Yeah. So, did you have dynamite off cooldown here? I know you were reloading. Yep, which is good. You reload. There's no reason to reload here. Kind of, it's the same thing what I was talking about before. Like, I'm torn, because we're going to watch the clip, and obviously, if you hadn't reloaded, you would have been in much better shape. But that's kind of like after the fact, 2020 vision, hindsight. But usually, Ashes will kind of shoot to a threshold, and then they'll shoot to a really low threshold. They'll shoot to, you know, 2 or 3 bullets, and then they'll reload. And it's kind of a playstyle thing, because you want to get the maximum amount of damage as possible. Because like when this ball like pile drives, this is huge for you. These are your major combos. And like, I was kind of surprised you're going for the Moira here, not the people the ball pile drived up. So not the Roadhog, or obviously the Ana would be the more preferable target. And just because they're in a relatively predictable arc, as in they can't really move, so they're pretty easy to hit headshots on. So was kind of surprised. Obviously dynamite would have been huge here, but you know, you'd used it before, and it is what it is. That's a decent dynamite. Nice shot into the Ana. Good coach gun to kind of push him away. Yep. I think you shot the dynamite there, which is good. Throw Bob out, which is okay. Because, so, for Bob, just in case people are wondering, Bob is, you get Bob extremely fast. And you actually charge Bob's ult during his deployment. But he won't charge his ult if you shoot people during his deployment, you'll still get ult charge out of that. So his Bob builds incredibly fast, and he's an incredibly decent ult. You know, he's really like a seventh person you can kind of throw out. So really, really good. Yeah, don't be afraid to use Bob almost off cooldown. Obviously not completely off cooldown, but I don't know why you dropped from the high ground here. Is there a reason? Did I miss it? Yeah. Shoot, which is nice. The Genji was blading. Throw Bob, which is cool. You're shooting. I don't know why you dropped. So, like, Ashe, the high ground is really, really good for Ashe for a number of reasons. The first of which being high ground is good for every character just because you have a better angle. The angle is better when you're on the high ground. As in, let me draw this out, otherwise this might not make that much sense. Let's say the enemies are here. I'm gonna make them stick people, and you are here on the high ground. So your line of sight is very different from their line of sight. You know. So they see much less of you, and it's so much easier for you to shoot them when they're on the low ground. Also, keeping in mind the fact that they have a Reinhardt, so this Reinhardt has a shield, and if you're on the low ground, if you are here, just draw a little U. This Reinhardt shield blocks everything behind here. But if you're high ground, this Reinhardt shield only blocks everything that's here. So that's a lot less blockage, which is super huge for you because you can throw more dynamites, you can get more shots in, better shots in. Also, it's harder for people to get to you. People have to have a high ground ability or have to use a cooldown to be able to actually make it up to the high ground to even contest you. Again, Ashe is kind of medium to long range. Those are her preferred fights. So you really don't want to take any engagements that are really, really close to you. So there's no reason to drop off the high ground. Definitely don't drop off the high ground. Unless you're like have to. Stay on the high ground. Yep. Having a little trouble. Again, your aiming style is weird. I can't figure out what it is. You miss your dynamite there, but it does hit the Ashe, so I can understand that. This is fine. You're going to go on the flank, see if you can get any final kills. That's okay. Again, you're going to want to be going back to the high ground now, because you're going to want to have that contested. I mean, it's cool being... Again, same concept applies. Like, it's cool being ground Ashe. Like, hold on, I'm just going to wait till this pans a little bit so I can explain what I'm talking about. Like, so this is a good sight line, which is really, really cool. Again, you get nice shots on the enemies here, but you get even better shots on the high ground. It'd be even harder for them to get to you. Less likely that they could get to you, or do damage to you. And you could just keep throwing dynamites, because dynamites are how you are going to charge Bob. So, yeah, that could have been a massive dynamite. So, yeah, high ground. For sure. Because, like, right now, this Anna's hiding behind this cart. It's the same concept as the Reinhardt shield. The Anna's hiding behind that cart there, but if you are high ground, that her cover, that cart cover is one directional. So, like, the direction you're in, it's good cover, but if you're above her, high ground, it's no longer good cover. So, easy shots. Yep. Be careful. So I do know I said shoot the turret, but if there's something else you can shoot, you're probably better off shooting. Like, there was a Torb and a and a Roadhog there that you could have shot. So like, yep, shoot the turret now, good. But now Torb and Roadhog are kind of walking by. Definitely would take some shots at them over the turret here. Always better to shoot something that you can actually like do damage from and kill and whatnot, as opposed to a turret. Even though you do have to shoot the turret, it is your job to kill the turret. Just like priority when you do it, because your ball still had plenty of time to. He didn't need to make space at that moment. Unlucky that you die here. It is what it is. Ooh, this Roadhog's being really flanky. Again, high ground's just better. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yup, Coach Gun. See, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Now, you use your... I think you use your dynamite in an attempt to get charge, which is okay, even though I don't think you got any off of it, so... Yeah, you throw your dynamite at a Roadhog, which is, I guess, okay, but still strange, so you don't go for bigger dynamites. If it's a problem, I'll talk about it. I'll keep an eye on it. Yeah, you use that. He uses dash. You use Coach Gun, which is really good, because then this puts you out of, more or less, out of his one-shot combo range of being able to kind of right-click, you know, right-click melee, you know, with the damage from dash to kill you. So that's really good. You shoot at him, and then he's sitting here with Reflect, and there's essentially nothing you can do. You know what? I kind of just noticed. I don't actually... Wait. I don't actually know what this is on the bottom here. It must be an option somewhere. I hope you don't have this on when you're playing in-game, because this would be incredibly distracting. Even though I just noticed it, so... I guess it is what it is. I guess it's just telling you what's happening. Okay, that's me being sidetracked. The point essentially is dynamite here would have been great. You could just throw it on the ground to the right of him, above him, in front of him. Even though you got to be careful if you throw it in front of him, the radius doesn't catch you with the dynamite. But yeah, that's why you use dynamite there. I don't know why you turned, but yeah, this is really rough. And then you throw dynamite to kind of protect your Ashe or your Moira, which is fine. Kind of sitting here. You could probably... So you saw the Roadhog who used hook, so you could probably pop out and take a shot if you want, but... You know, getting more ult charge is definitely good. But I really do like what you did. This is a really nice kind of flank. You kind of came around here and flanked, which is really, really good. You got longer sight lines, which is better. Again, better for Ashe. So this is really good. This is really good thinking and positioning. Yeah, that dynamite doesn't actually hit anyone. So, okay. Don't chase a Roadhog. He is hooked. You should be dead. But yeah, you're missing a lot of dynamites here, and you're not hitting a lot of big value dynamites, and that's why your ult is charging so slowly. Because the main way Ashe charges ult is with her dynamites. So, and then yeah, then you don't have Bob as much, and then you don't, you know. So yeah, you need to be hitting bigger dynamites. And when I okay, so Ashe, so you're using dynamite off cooldown more or less, which is actually what you're supposed to do. Ashe should be using dynamite almost off cooldown, and then repositioning and hitting another dynamite, and shooting like in between. Almost like, if you think about it, almost the opposite way of what might be intuitive of, oh, I'll shoot and throw dynamite like on the side. It should be like I throw dynamite and shoot on the side, because dynamite has, the burn is so good, and you can hit so many people with it. But for you, you kind of like throw dynamite out as soon as you see anyone. You're just like, oh, here's the dynamite, here's the dynamite. So I think for your particular case, I would actually be more careful with where and like how and when I throw dynamite. So I would hold your dynamite a little bit longer until you know you can hit more people. Even though what you're technically doing is correct, you should be using dynamite as much as you can because it's crazy good ult charge. But your position isn't good enough to hit a lot of people with dynamite. So hitting one person with dynamite is good, but you should be realistically you should be able to hit 2 or 3 people minimum with dynamite. So high ground, this is really, really good. You go high ground, you can test the Genji. At least you do shoot the dynamite. It's unfortunate he kind of dips behind this, whatever we're going to call this, so he doesn't get hit by it. That's good. Yep, just stay high ground. Oh. Yep, which I guess is understandable. You really have to learn pile drive, the animation to pile drive, because were you actually shooting at something for the animation to pile drive? Not really. I don't know, but the characters in pile drive have an incredibly consistent animation, so they're really, really easy to hit. You just have to kind of learn that. I don't have a good way to teach that other than by just watching it, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of a rough one, but yeah, they have a very specific kind of pattern of they go up and they come down, so you should try and learn that, even though that's a little bit more niche because you won't always be playing with a wrecking ball. Because you should also try and combo that with dynamites, like his pile drives with dynamites, because those will be huge dynamites because people can't move. Having said that, really good dynamite on the Genji, even though I'm not sure that was your target. I think it was the Ashe, who you killed with the dynamite as well, so Pog. But that's why dynamite is even better high ground, because it's easier to get sightline. So this Ana, let me just kind of point this out. You see the Ana, you go, oh, she's low. But like, see, this Ana's hiding spot is no longer a hiding spot because you're high ground and you have dynamite. But if you were on the low ground, she would be hidden forever. She'd be impossible to kill. So, one more reason. I don't know why you dropped. Was there a reason to? Again, high ground is better. There's no, like, the lower you are, the easier it is for Hog to hit hooks on you. The easier it is for people to get you. Low ground is not your friend. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to drop. I don't think the Genji was coming up to get you. So, yeah, don't drop. Nope. Unlucky. So obviously that Bob was an accident. You for sure didn't intend for him to go there. It was honestly incredible that he made it through all those cracks to go there. So yeah, I understand the intention. The intention was to throw it onto the cart to help Bob contest, help him do damage, probably help him kill the ulting Genji at that point is probably what you were thinking, which is really, really good because Bob is great for that kind of stuff because Bob is essentially like a really, really good turret, if you will. Genji blades in, you throw Bob, now Genji has to deal with Bob. He has a limited time to kill things before Bob kills him. So really, really good thought process there. Yeah, no problems with that. Just be careful with where you throw it. I understand that was unlucky. You're really, really low here. Oh, you ran out of bullets. Why did you run out of bullets? Nice. Oh, because you didn't fully reload. Oh, that was way, way, way too far. I'm sorry. Because you only reloaded a couple shots. So you could have reloaded the rest of the shots. I guess you panicked and were trying to help your Moira. Even though your extra shots, I don't think would have done anything on the Hog. But yeah. Unlucky. Yeah, you should definitely be using Coach Gun to just get out of that situation. If you have no shots, use Coach Gun to go back to the high ground. Take a second to reload, and then keep going. Dynamite there would have been really good. Ah, you shot it too early. That's okay. But yeah, you're really not getting enough value out of dynamites. So definitely something to work on. Yeah, throw another dynamite. There you go. Hey, that dynamite killed the Ashe. That was really good. Like, obviously I know you shot the Ashe, but because of the dynamite combo. Again, what's with your aiming? It just looks weird. I gotta think about it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if, like, that's a aiming style you have. It just looks very... Oh, wait a second. Wait a second, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. Hold up, we're gonna turn this off. And, slow this down. So you shoot. It's almost like you're trying to flick to a target, and then after you shoot, it's like boom, but like I don't understand why you move your crosshair around after you shoot. Wait a second. It's almost essentially like you're flicking to a target to shoot. You shoot, and then you move your cursor away, and then try and flick back to that target. Which... So, like, okay. Maybe that's because you shoot a lot of bots in the practice range? I don't know. So, like, flicking is a legitimate style where you're here, flick, shoot, flick, shoot, flick, shoot, flick, shoot, and then you're back. But when you flick, you don't want to, like, increase the distance you have to flick. And that's essentially what you're doing when you go over the target, shoot, move your cursor away, and then try and flick back to the target. So I think that's a bad habit you developed. I don't know if that's the habit from, like, shooting bots in a training range, because essentially what you want to do is, if your style is flick, and I'll use it on a moving bot so it'll make more sense. You flick to the bot and you shoot. So, like, flick, shoot, and then you micro or macro adjust your flick to shoot again. Oh, you didn't see anything. So you readjust your flick to shoot again based on the movement of the enemy, not based on, like, you don't move your crosshair away and then move it back. So you go, oh, micro flick, and then back to another flick. Like, that's essentially, it feels like that's what you're doing, where you're going like whoop, 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 which, yeah, definitely don't do that. You're just gonna mess yourself up more. Yeah, I think I think that might be what I'm seeing here, at least in some capacity, and I think that's definitely a bad habit you're gonna want to work on. So, like, if you want to use the flicking style as opposed to, so, like, smooth aim is like where you go like this, and then when your crosshair's over the person's head, you shoot. So you go whoop, whoop, like, that's smooth aim. And flicking is like where you flick to the person, but you don't want to flick back. So you don't want to go. You want to go, and then like that. That's how you want to flick. You don't want to flick to them and then flick back to where you were. You don't do this. Do this. Wow, I even moved back. All right, I'm an idiot. But no, you just want to flick to them and that's it. You don't want to flick and move. Why? This is why I hate Ashe so much. I think my scope sense on Ashe is not 1-to-1. But okay, no matter. But yeah, I think that's what we're seeing here. That's definitely a habit you want to break. You don't want to flick to someone, move back to where you flicked from, and then try and flick to shoot them again. So yeah, definitely don't do that. Oh, I think we have this in like 0.5 speed. And I turned the sound off. Yeah, I think that's what you're doing. Nice dynamite. Killed the Ana. Yeah, you're definitely moving your crosshair away from the target after you shoot them. That's definitely not a good habit to have. Oh, missed your dynamite again. Not too bad though. It was. Oh, so I probably should talk about other things. I got a little entranced there for a minute. It's good that you take this off angle, so this is kind of nice. Gives you a little bit of range, makes it a little bit harder to get to you. So this is pretty good. You can always like jump up on top of these. Oh. Instead of kind of going in, you can always just jump up on top of this. Play up here if you wanted to. That's also not a, a little bit of high ground angles. But yeah. Not too bad. Definitely be careful how close you're going to their spawn here. Decent bob. It's just a 7th person. Nice, like a auto turret, if you will. Does a lot of damage. Gets a lot of value, so... yeah, no problems with that. No problems with that. Zero a tres. I don't know what this language is. Like, what language this is. I think it's Spanish? I honestly don't know. I'm super bad with languages, but this is pretty cool. It's pretty cool that you play in a different language. So I'm assuming that means, like, you speak that other language as well? Which is also pretty pog. Just skip. You're going Ashe. I'm not really going to talk about comps here. I'll just talk about it as you're walking out. So essentially, you guys are running Monkey Zarya, Reaper, you, Ashe, and then short heals. So the concept is still going to be similar, actually, to the previous concept and you switched to D.Va. So the concept is probably going to be similar. It's probably going to be Monkey dives, and then everyone else goes in, and the D.Va will matrix the Monkey out, or they'll matrix Reaper in and break in, and you guys will just go fight. But your role hasn't essentially changed. You're just going to do a lot of poke. That's essentially your goal. This is really non-aggressive positioning, which is okay, I guess. You can also hold the other high ground, get a nice dynamite in, but this is probably ultimately... so those are the dynamites that you want to hit. That's perfect. And that's why you have already like 20% ult charge, I think, off of that. So, like, let's see, 21%. Boom. That's how you build Bob fast. Those are the dynamites you want to hit. Really, really good job there. Yeah, this positioning is ultimately probably where you want to end up. Oh, they have a Widow. So, Widow Ashe duels highly, highly favors Widow. And the reason for that is when Ashe is scoped in, her head hitbox is actually pretty big, and it's like a scoped in Ana. It's very easy to hit for any good Widowmaker. So yeah, I'm sure you're gonna take some shots here, but this is something to be super, super highly aware of. And your positioning now and how you take duels is gonna be incredibly even more important. Beautiful headshot. Yep, reload. Reload all the way. All the way. Again, you hit your bottom threshold, you ran into bullets, just reload all the way. Like, all the way back to 12. Unless there's, like, absolutely someone you can just kill with one shot, reload all the way back to 12, because then you're going to be stuck in this cycle of shoot 2 shots, reload, shoot 2 shots, reload, and it takes much longer for you to reload than it does, like, for McCree or for Soldier or for other people, like, proportionally. So, just reload everything. I mean, at that point, the example, I guess, could have been whatever, because it was at the end of the fight, and you guys had already won the fight, but the point still stands. This is now not good positioning because you know they have a Widowmaker. So, although you're going for a Dynamite, which I like, I'm super big fan. Now you're trying to hit some Pog Dynamites, which is really good. But this is super risky because of the Widowmaker. Yeah, you got one. But yeah, it's super risky because of the Widowmaker. Back where you were is really good, or even like yeah, I'll just demonstrate this. Where are we? Hollywood.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Oh, my dogs are barking, I think, a little bit. Hopefully that's not too loud. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, so if they have a Widow, your positioning matters a ton, because like I said, Widow Ashe duels usually is Widow favored. So if you want to sit up here, that's fine, because this denies a lot of angles. Like the Widow has to come down here to shoot you, and you can kind of peek around and behind this pole a little bit, get a little bit of cover there. You can also, you know, kind of even do the whole table thing if you want. So this isn't too bad. Also over here is decent. You kind of play this angle. I mean, you want to be careful not to play right here, because that's a really decent sight line. Even though Widows usually don't sit there, they'll usually sit either high ground or, you know, they'll try and grapple up. So I'm gonna sit here. Although obviously I prefer high ground. I think high ground is better for Ashe. Just gives her more options and mobility. Even if you wanted to play just super far high ground, you know. Gonna play back here a little bit. You could play up here. Probably wouldn't recommend it that much, just because your mobility is limited here, like where you can go. Once the Widow knows you're up here, unless you don't peek this corner here, you'll probably be pretty easy shot for her, unless you sit like all the way back here and try and hit these shots. But then what you can shoot is pretty limited. So I think your positioning is probably pretty good. Being here is where you want to be. Another decent Dynamite that kills the Moira Pog. Really, really good. You still gotta be super careful. I don't think you've seen the Widow at this point. Have you? I don't think you've seen the Widow this fight, so being careful. She's not taking, like, obviously we can see her because we can see through walls with the replay viewer, but you don't know if she's taking off angles. You don't know what she's doing. So just be very aware, which is really good. You checked there. You checked. And then you play really back, which is really nice. Really, really good. Oh, it's unlucky you missed, but that's okay. So that's really, really good. Yeah, you just got to play really safe, really, really good angles when you're fighting a Widow, because that duel is not in your favor, unless she's, like, in a weird spot. Oh, you missed your Dynamite. That could have been a big Dynamite. Oh, it still gets some people, I think. Nice. It forced Wraith out of the Reaper. It's really, really good. No, just make sure you check angles. You gotta be careful. Oh, another big Dynamite. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Thought process was good. Thought process was good. But if you watch the kill feed, you're already down like 4 people. So the play here is not to throw Bob randomly. It's to back up and to use Bob to stall. Because Bob has a ton of HP. So that's essentially what you want to do. Oh, and the Reaper's behind you, which is unlucky. But let me talk about that for a second. Yeah. So what you want to do is essentially, if you make sure you watch the kill feed, which obviously you weren't doing when you threw Bob. If you had thrown Bob earlier in the fight, that would have been fine. Like if you had thrown him 5-6 seconds earlier in that fight, it would have helped your team win, which is fine. But that didn't happen, which is okay. So you essentially just kind of want to sit over here. I mean, if you had watched your flank, you would have seen the Reaper, but which is fine. And then just throw Bob on point. So whoop, have him go, run off, and contest point for you. Yeah, that's what you want to do with Bob there. Bob's really, really good at contesting points. One of the things he's best at. Because, like, right now what happens is you pretty much hard stagger, and that's because you didn't scout the Reaper, but at that point your whole team was dead, so is what it is. It's unlucky. You know, you're not going to get any value out of Bob. But just hit some more big dynamites, and you'll have Bob built in another 30 seconds anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Oh, yeah, I didn't think you could quite make that from that angle. Yeah, this is gonna be a retreat. Oh, nope. Okay, they used a bunch of ults. Grav and Blossom. This is Pog Champ win for you guys. Just get all the way out, because the Widow sightlines are gonna kill you. So you take high ground now, which is really good. Oh, they used walls, so you don't have any choice to back. Like, you have to back up here, which is you can't even play here. Oh, yep. Widow sightlines are too long. You just have to back all the way up. A better Widow would have killed you right here. So you heard the sound of walls. Just get all the way back out. Literally almost all the way back to your spawn to where you're actually safe, and just wait for your tanks and wait for sights to be over. And there's not much else you're gonna do there. Because, like, so the thing is, like, if you stagger now, they essentially push the payload so much farther for free, as opposed to if you regroup, you as a team you can come back and then kind of contest the payload. But if you stagger right now, you might not get another fight on second. It'll be close. You'll get a weird one at the end, which would really suck, because second's such a good place to hold. I mean, it's gonna be suckish anyway, because they have a Widow who has better long range than you, so you'll be taking less than ideal angles so that you don't get killed by her, but the point still stands. Oh, unlucky. Fire strike to the face. Yep, it's unlucky. You have to watch your flanks. You know, I would say, obviously, my default response would be go high ground, but you have to be extremely careful when you go high ground with, like, when there's a Widowmaker, because Widowmaker is going to go high ground. That's their natural instinct, and you usually don't win that duel. So your only way to... So, like, your team doesn't actually have anything to deal with the Widowmaker, which really sucks. So the only way it kind of falls on you to kill her, even though that's not like, that's not a favorable duel for you most of the time. So your options are pretty much this. Here you pretty much have two options. Either you play really safely, you try and play with your tanks, you try and play behind the Sigma shield, which is really rough to play this kind of comp, because Widow's just going to poke things down. Or, which is probably your better option given your teammates, like, given your composition, you kind of go a little bit flanky and you look for flank kills on the Widowmaker, which, again, it's just rough. Your comp isn't really well equipped to deal with long range poke, especially on this point because of how open it is. Once you get to the next point, you'll have some more options, but yeah, so you guys don't even get a fight here, which is pretty much just the Widow dominating sightlines, and that's the way it goes. Oh, you switched to Monkey, which is really, really good, because now you actually have help contesting the Widow. That's a really, really heads-up play. Yep. Oh, you heard the Widow shot. You know she's over here. Monkey goes and dives her. Perfect. Yeah. So now you guys have a Monkey, so life is much better for you. Don't use Bob. Please don't use Bob. And the reason I say please don't use Bob is because you get... This is incredibly risky. Although you did hit a headshot, so, you know, pog you, but this is incredibly risky. And the reason I was saying don't use Bob is because you're gonna need Bob um, later on to kind of contest and stall. Um, Simply because you don't right now you don't have any really good contest heroes in the sense that you they have a lot of kind of poke damage and a lot of brawl potential, and you guys are just poke. So like Sigma's really good at poke, Winston's dive, Reaper's brawl. You guys are really, you're really good at poke. So you guys are gonna try and win based off of poke and based off of Monkey diving their Widowmaker, but they're just gonna kind of come and really brawl and play on cart, and you don't really win that fight because of the characters that they're playing. Like they have Reaper, Zarya, and Reinhardt. Your Sigma, Moira, Reaper, Brig isn't going to be able to fight off or to sustain through their Reaper, Zarya, Reinhardt, Moira with Ana heals all the way in the back. So you're definitely going to want to save Bob in these kind of situations. And I think I explained that incredibly poorly. So I will try and explain in the future. Although, beautiful shot. Explain in the future when you use Bob. Okay. Oh no. So you get... Oh boy. That was a... Okay. The... Where to start? So if you kill them, because of how close they are to their spawn, you get less of an advantage for killing them, as opposed to if they had pushed the cart farther, which obviously you don't want. You don't want the cart to be pushed farther, but if they had pushed the cart farther and you'd kill them later, it takes them longer to walk back from their spawn to the cart, so you get more time on the clock for that. So like that's one reason to be careful with like how much you spawn camp them, which is essentially what you're doing here. Which is okay. I'm never against asserting dominance and spawn camping when you can, because that always kind of breaks the enemy's mentality, which is really, really good. Easy way to win games. But your Bob has less value here as opposed to down the long sight. What? Let me go in and explain this because I can't. Oh. I forgot the card is capped, so I can't go through that middle. Let me just, like, explain this, as opposed to, like, try and... So, you guys have a disadvantage fighting this close, simply because their respawns are so much closer. So, if they pick one of you, it'll take you so much longer to run from your spawn all the way back here. But I'm not suggesting don't take a fight here. If you can, and like you guys are able to, you kind of had resources and you're up in numbers, it's totally fine to take a fight here. That's okay. What I'm saying is if you use Bob here, it benefits you less as opposed to if you use Bob when the card is over here, because you guys don't have a brawl comp. They have a brawl comp. The way you win is you poke. So over time, you guys win over time. That's why you as Ashe, you guys have Sigma. It's just over time damage is how you win, and they're gonna want to brawl. They're gonna push the cart. They're gonna want to brawl. If you Bob, if you Bob while the cart to like stall the cart over here, you not only stop the cart, but you give yourself time. Even if you Bob when the cart is here, even though that's a harder Bob to hit, you have to like Bob the wall. Because if you Bob the cart, you have to be careful. Bob can run over the cart. But you give yourself more time to shoot the enemies, to poke the enemies, without you having to contest cart. Because if you don't contest cart, cart keeps pushing. But your team, your composition needs time to do damage to the enemies, to break shields, to start to get value. So you're in this weird position where you kind of have to use Bob to stall more than to be super aggro aggressive, more than just like throw Bob at their spawn, which is essentially what you did. Like, yeah, you threw Bob at the cart, but the concept is the same, where you just threw it at their spawn. And yeah, it got mad value and you got your 6k and all that sort of stuff. But then the next fight is even more like incredibly rough for you, because you're more likely to get steamrolled, because you don't have anyone that can really contest cart, if that makes sense. I know that was a long-winded explanation, and hopefully that made some sense. So you're going to need Bob to be a tank, because your composition doesn't do well. Your composition doesn't do well facing Brawl without a long period of time to do it. When Brawl has the objective, it's rough for you guys to take the objective back. Good dynamite, though. I mean, and this is obviously rough because you guys are absolutely rolling here. So my point, I'm sure, isn't really coming across, which I understand because you guys are like just rolling them, you know, literally ulting in their spawn, and which I absolutely approve of. Like, some people are like, oh no, don't, but asserting dominance is always a huge thing in Overwatch. It kind of messes with the enemy mentality and brings them down. So yeah, absolutely, if you have the opportunity to touch their spawn, do it. But from a purely tactical point of view, you will need Bob, or you would have needed Bob to kind of help stall. Even though you can build Bob ridiculously fast, so it may not matter anyway. But that may have been a whole side rant for nothing if you build Bob before they get cart around the corner. You should have just went high ground here. Like, you die. Always talking, so I was distracted, but you die, and then you just come back low ground. There's no reason not to just come back high ground. Yeah, literally, you just go up those stairs, come back high ground, you have a better advantage, hit more shots. I don't know, yeah. High ground is always better for Ashe. Oh. Unlucky dynamite. Yeah, so this is going to be a rough fight for you, because now they're in, now they're starting to do damage. Now you've lost point control, like point presence. Oh, such a good dynamite. But now you've lost point presence, even though you could have shot that dynamite a little bit later. You've lost point presence, and it's going to be really hard. Okay, wait, we have to talk about this. But you've lost point presence, so it's going to be really hard for you to take back the point, unless they're just idiots, or you get some tremendously amazing pick, just because they have a better comp, if they're just going to be sitting on point. This is, again, a really risky duel to take with a Widowmaker. Yeah, maybe you have to take it, but that's risky. Like, great job just beating him up, but if this had been a Platinum or Diamond Widowmaker, you would have just got rolled right there. Especially because I think you were low health trying to get that health back, right? Could have waited a little lighter on that dynamite, but the thought process was really, really good there. Yeah, because you were low health here, because you were taking a fire strike, so you could have just been dead right here. She misses 2 shots, 3 shots, 3 shots, even though they weren't all fully charged scope shots. So, but like that would have been at least 2 shots for her to kill you. So, Widowmaker would have rolled you here. Good shots though, nice shots there. But yeah, so you're definitely moving your crosshair. This is a perfect example. This is definitely what's happening. So, on this Zarya. Yeah, you literally like shoot the Zarya and then move your crosshair off the Zarya and then move it back on the Zarya. Which definitely, yeah. Oh. Definitely don't do that. Because you just make yourself less accurate when you do that. Yeah, this is perfect. You're literally moving your crosshair off of the Reinhardt to then flick back to the Reinhardt, which obviously you don't need to do. You should just aim at his head, even when you shoot at his shield in case he drops it, but this is a terrible habit to have. Definitely get rid of that habit. It'll make you so much less accurate, and it just makes you just make it harder on yourself. And I think usually people get this habit when they shoot a lot of bots or things that stand still, so maybe be careful about shooting bots. Or it could be sensitivity. Maybe your sensitivity is not perfect, so you're you compensate by kind of flicking. I don't know. But that's definitely something for you to look into. I mean, yeah, you guys are just rolling them here. Absolutely rolling. Like, you could have thrown a Bob at their spawn, got mad value, but again, my point kind of still stands that if they had been a better team, once they had gotten on point, it would have been incredibly hard for you guys to do anything about that. So, but because they kind of suck here, and this kind of goes back to the problem. Like, I know you guys won this game because you had said that in the beginning, but this goes back to the problem of why you don't submit a VOD that you won, just because it's like, yeah, you were better than the enemy team, so it is what it is. But these are the kind of things that if you had been playing a team that was better than you, that you would have gotten rolled here. Like, as a team, you would have been rolled. This Bob goes nowhere. If you're going to throw a Bob, just throw a Bob to contest cart. So you can throw him against... You can just throw him against the wall. Yeah. Although I'm sure this is going to be a nice Bob, because it'll hit a lot of flankers probably. But Bob contesting cart would have done the same thing. Reaper gets mad value. Again. Oh! Okay, so that wasn't bad. If you use the Bob as cover when you take the duel, fine. But this is an incredibly risky duel for you. Definitely not one that I would be trying to take. Yeah, you're just blatant. Yeah, this is a mistake. Like, even if you kill the Widow here, this is a mistake, because a better Widow would 100% have rolled you. Nice shots. But walked into a fire strike there. I don't have to tell you about that one. Didn't throw the dynamite high enough over the Rhine shield, which has been a trend a little bit for you, so... yeah, I would definitely fool around with dynamite a lot more. I think you're not comfortable with it. Like, comfortable hitting it, comfortable throwing it. The arc of dynamite, where it goes. Definitely something for you to play around with. Just go into a custom game, like, turn your dynamite so you can throw it as many times as you want. Throw it around, see where it goes. Figure out the arc. That should be back of your hand, second nature kind of stuff. Yeah, again, perfect. You shoot, beautiful headshot, flick off, and then try and flick back on, which messes you up. Just headshot, stand still, let the Zarya move, and then readjust your flick back to her head. You don't have to, like, move your crosshair off of her head. Just flick, hit, let her move, and then reflick. Nice little flank, but again, better Widowmaker would have rolled you. Do you kill her again? Oh my gosh. She should just switch at this point, but the point still stands that a better Widowmaker would have... You would not have won that. Good dynamite. You should probably be taking high ground here, just because their Widowmaker's going to be high ground. You're going to have to contest her somehow. So, like, you can sit... Dun, 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 dun. Even if you sit up here, that would be okay. I think I can make this. Oh, yeah. I don't play Ashe that much, if you haven't figured out. But yeah, so you can at least sit up here to kind of contest in case their Widowmaker comes over here, because usually Widow will either try and take a flank, she'll try and either be over there, or she'll try and be up here. So you can kind of sit here and contest a little bit, even though you got to be careful. But you're better in this close range because you have dynamite, so if she is here, you just go. Obviously not that slowly. So, but yeah. So high ground is better. But like, even if you're here, that's better because you still have decent angles, as opposed to if you're down here where it's really rough, because then you gotta be like, oh. So yeah, just sit up here, sit up there. Life will be easy for you. Decent dynamite. I think it should have been higher. That was a pretty good dynamite. Again, these are, you gotta be careful, these kind of sight lines, because yeah, this should be rough for you. You have no shield, you should be dead here. Yep, you don't want to be in this grab. This just high ground avoids all this kind of stuff for you. Yep, you throw a Bob, unlucky. If you had been high ground, actually, you probably wouldn't have died as fast, and you would have gotten a chance to throw Bob to contest, so that would have been Pog too. But it's okay. Mistakes happen. You said you won this game, but there isn't that much time left in this. You guys must have really rolled them. Yep, you guys are running the same comp as you were before, which is totally fine. Again, you're just going to let the Hammond go in, do his thing, provide a lot of poke, try and combo with Hammond's smash, or pile drive, sorry. Oh! You changed Kree. I mean, Ashe was fine in this situation. I'm not sure why you changed Kree, if there was a specific reason. Ooh. Nice shots, but, okay. Really good shots. Really good. Nice flank. Got a good pick. But at a higher rank, you probably wouldn't have got away with this. Because the Widow wouldn't have been there, but that's not the issue. Like, their team probably would have pushed you. Like this. What? This is perfect. This is exactly how you're supposed to aim. Like, watch. This, you don't have this problem with McCree. How do you have this problem with Ashe? So, flick to the, let the target move, flick, shoot, flick, like, this is, like, perfect. This is exactly how you're supposed to aim. You flick, like, you shoot, you let the target move, you flick, you shoot, you let the target move, you flick, you shoot. You don't, like, remove your crosshair. This is exactly what you're supposed to do on Ashe. I don't know where you got that bad habit on Ashe from. Because you definitely don't have it on McCree. That was perfect. That's exactly what you want to do. Even this, yeah. Beautiful flash. But, like, yeah, that's... although, to be fair, that was a super wide angle. You gotta be careful with those wide angles, especially if you don't have a shield. You really want to just be taking high ground, doing the same thing you're doing with Ashe, with McCree. But that's not the point. I'm, like, rejoicing here, because you don't have this problem on McCree. Like, so I'm not sure how you got that bad habit on Ashe. Is it specific to Ashe? Maybe it's sensitivity. Maybe it's you shoot at bots a lot. I don't know, but you definitely don't have it on McCree. Yeah, this is like... Again, these are super wide angles here. You're better off going high ground for reasons I kind of explained earlier. High ground, it still affects McCree the same way. Obviously, he doesn't have dynamite to throw, but the shots are easier for him. Less places for people to hide. Yeah, you're super wide angle here, so you're going to get less healing. It's going to be easier for them to focus you. I mean, thankfully, your Wrecking Ball is doing a baller job of keeping their attention all the time, but this, not a particularly good position. So your positioning is definitely better on Ashe than McCree, but somehow your aim is so much better on McCree. Like, you don't have bad habits that you do on Ashe, so I don't know. It's almost like a completely different person playing this game. Like, you don't take high ground at all as McCree, which is completely strange, but you did a lot, or a reasonable amount at least, on Ashe, and you don't have any, like, aiming problems or poor habits with McCree. And not that I can see, but you have a lot of them with Ashe. I don't know, dude. Oh, you don't actually have to go the full... I wasn't actually paying attention to how far we were. You only have to cap the first tick. Never mind. Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. I got lost in the VOD. Okay, your whole team's gonna go for a flank. That's fine. Like if your whole team, ooh, this is a riptire. But if your team decides like elects to go for a flank as opposed to, um, just going main. Like if they go main, you want to go high ground. If they go on a flank, you can go high ground, but you probably should go with them on the flank, just so you don't get picked off, and so you have some like safety. Oh, excuse me, and you can add some security to them because like there is no main shield, so your flash is even better against Reinhardt's shield and whatnot. Unlucky that kills Zarya. Yeah, their Widow's just popping off is unlucky. Really good angle from her. Oh, your hamster's getting mad value. You can do it. Use the teleporter, go high ground. Yes. Having a little trouble aiming here. Oh, oh. Oh, you should have been dead there. You gotta be careful with that. Again, no reason to drop off high ground here, especially after the Widow's dead. Just stay up there. Who's gonna kill you? If everyone dies on point, then yeah, drop down. But till then, stay high ground. Sim turrets coming in clutch, but yeah, your Wrecking Ball really came in clutch there. Let me try and stop it on the victory screen. All right. All in all, not a bad, like gameplay. Not too bad. For you, I think the three things that you should work on is hitting more people with your dynamite, because that's your dynamite's incredibly important. Like I said, it builds Bobs, and Bobs helps you win games because that's your seventh player. And for you specifically, I think you should hold your dynamite more until you can hit more people. Not because that's how you want to play Ashe, and like after you've gone into practice ranges a bunch and like learned how to. Okay, wait. I gotta break this down because there's actually multiple points for this hitting your dynamite. I think for you, it's a twofold problem. You have to hit more people with your dynamite, and like that's the first part of the problem. The second part of the problem is you have to be able to consistently shoot your dynamite. So I think for the second part of the problem, just go into a training range, go into whatever. You can do that against bots. You're just shooting dynamite, and just turn your dynamite cooldown like all the way down to 0. Throw a bunch of dynamites. Get used to practicing shooting that. Obviously, shooting it unscoped is usually a little bit better than shooting it scoped, but practice it both ways. Learn the arc of the dynamite. Learn all that. Do a bunch of that. Go practice that a bunch. And then for the first part of that problem, where you have to hit more people with dynamite, although you are playing Ashe correctly, so using dynamite off cooldown more or less is the correct way to play Ashe because you'll get more charge. For you use dynamite off cooldown, but most of the time when you use it, you don't get any value out of it. So I would suggest being a little bit more patient with it, as in waiting till you can hit at least 2 people with dynamite, unless it has a very specific purpose. So like, oh, I see someone super low, let me just dynamite them to kill them. But if you're just dynamiting to dynamite, which is good, that's what you want to do as Ashe, make sure you hit at least 2 people. So hold on to your dynamite a little bit longer, make sure you hit 2 people. You'll get more ult charge out of it, you'll get more value out of it. So that was the first thing to work on. I know that was a little bit long and convoluted. The second thing I think for you is high ground. Definitely take high ground more with Ashe, and really take high ground more with McCree. But we didn't see a lot of McCree, so I'm not going to really talk about McCree gameplay. This was really an Ashe VOD review. Take high ground more with Ashe. It's super, super good for her. For every character, really, but really for Ashe and other mid and long range characters. Super, super good. The third thing for you is bad aiming habits. I don't know how you developed some questionable aiming habits for Ashe, but you don't have them on McCree, so I don't really know. Try and get rid of those. I don't know how you got them, so My guess would be you got them because you shot a lot of bots in like a practice range, so maybe stop doing that. Maybe put bots on in a custom game and shoot that if you're going to train that way. But like again, I don't really know how you got that bad habit. Maybe it's your sensitivity, like your scope sensitivity is off, and that's why you can't hit things unless you kind of flick around like that. I Yeah, definitely try and change that if you can. But other than that, not a bad VOD. So if you've made it this far in the VOD, PogChamp, if you want me to review one of your VODs, then post them in the Elo Hell Discord in the VOD request channel and tag me, Panda2050. I'll put all the links to everything in the description. I hope you've learned something from this VOD review, and best of luck climbing.